Well, first of all, I am Nym, and I feel so blessed to be here. And honestly, there were so many amazing presentations today. I feel going and following everyone's footsteps. I just feel like there's a lot of threads with the number three, and I just feel very blessed. I do know it's been a long round of presentations and everything, but thank you all for being here. Since we didn't take a quick break, let's just take 3 deep breaths in together because I think that would be good with like an audible sigh at the end. Let's take a deep breath in, breathing in. Letting the tongue relax, allowing us all to just settle here for this last presentation before dinner, breathing in. And one more time, breathing in. All right. So Cosmogenitrix 2025. I'm Nym. I'm a Sibyl here at Mount Shasta Goddess Temple. I feel so honored. Graduated from Via Carmen Pythia in 2023. I do a variety of things. A healer, first and foremost. I do a lot of Reiki, all sorts of modalities. But I also have a background in environmental science, and this is where my path started very much in the nature realm of things, which is why I'm very excited to talk about the land, sea, and sky, and with the Triskelion portal and so many things interweaving that we talked about today. I'm just very excited to kind of discuss with you, share with you some of my research as I, dove deeper into this. And I felt it was very grounding experience, kind of bringing myself back full circle. I had a feeling of, which was very nice. So I'm excited to share that with you. So just a little bit what we're going to kind of go over today. We're going to do a little bit of Celtic cosmology and of course the power of three. We can't talk about the three realms without talking a little bit about the other world, which we've heard lots about today. I want to talk a little bit about looking at the three realms as kind of a map. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then briefly, because it is a big part of Celtic culture and mythos, the oaths and kind of by land, sea, and sky in that way. Just briefly, we'll talk a little bit about each of the three realms, and then we'll just have a quick prayer and blessing at the end to send you guys off. And this presentation is dedicated to the spirits of the land, the sea, and the sky. All right, so Celtic cosmology and the power of three. So the Celts in many different ways viewed the world through sets of three. It was a very sacred number. It was a structure. It can be found in many different myths, stories, symbols, as well as deities. They saw magic, harmony, and power in these triads. We are going to focus on the three realms and that form the cosmic structure, so land, sea, and sky. But there are also many triple deities, some of which we heard beautiful presentations from Kat and from Pistis Aislinn. And so the Morrigan, war, prophecy, sovereignty, Bav, Maha, and Nemain. The Morrigan being the first goddess who called to me. Brigid, goddess of poetry, healing, and smithcraft. Eru, Banva, and Fodla. In Celtic cosmology, we see the three in this threefold death, which was 3 ways to die, kind of in a supernatural way. We see it in that Triskelion itself, found at sacred sites like Newgrange, the Turo Stone in Galway, as well as many other cultures as well that we see this symbol. And so I was very excited to kind of dive in here and the relating between the three realms and the Triskelion. And so we'll talk just a little bit about the other world. And so the land of the beyond, across the hedge, neither here nor there, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with, many different names. I felt like it was very important to kind of touch on the realms of land, sky, and sea. They are, I think we kind of like to categorize things, which we talked about earlier, into kind of isolated groups. And we will kind of make those associations, but to also think about how they're all interconnected. So all of these realms have a physical aspect. They also have a mystical aspect. So there's kind of more of an overlay there. We'll see that the sea and water is associated with the other world, but rather than being separate, I like to think about all of these realms. They're constantly, as Lenny said earlier, with water, they're constantly kind of interflowing into each other.
Yeah. Can we get you to pause for 1 second? The voice is just sounding all scrambly. So let's just, let's see. Our internet is okay. How's your internet there, Nym? You okay? Okay.
Share really quick, and I hear good.
Perhaps if your video go off and do by sound,
Yes.
just see if it makes a difference.
Good idea.
Can I have somebody else comment, perhaps Heather or Aislinn, just to see if we know if it's us? Because we're sounding it too.
I hear her scrambling also.
Okay, yeah, and you sound clear to us, Aislinn. No, no, unfortunately, it's. Would you like to? We can read it for you if it doesn't work.
It's pretty clear.
She did. She did. Do you want to try logging off and rejoining?
I could try that.
Let's give that a try.
I do apologize if it's here.
We've had these issues ongoing all day, so it's not just you.
I'm thinking if she gets out and comes back in, it might leave.
That's what we are hoping for. Yeah.
You maybe want to pause recording.
That's a great idea. I
Apologize here. Let me share my screen here. If it happens again, feel free to let me know, obviously. And hopefully we won't have. And you can see everything okay? Wonderful. Okay, so the other world. Neither here nor there, the land beyond the hedge. Like I was saying, there is. The reason I wanted to talk about this related to the Triskelion is kind of that all realms can serve as portals. So rather than being separate, they all have their physical aspects as well as their mystical aspects, and they're constantly interflowing into one another. And they are all places where deities, spirits, and the fair folk reside. There are lots of different names for the other world, and in some people think that they are kind of the same other world. Some people think they are different locations within the other world. We have Chir Nanog, the land of the youth. We have Chir Fothuan, the land under the waves, which you see here, the connection with the sea. We have Mak Mor, the Great Plain, and we have Mak Dachio, the plain of the two mists. And there's many, many, many more names of these in Celtic culture, but as well as other cultures as well. And so what I really wanted to talk about today is kind of that three worlds as being kind of a map. So sometimes the three worlds can be equated to the elements. I really like to think about it as a way of orientating yourself with the physical and spiritual ecosystem and the world. And a lot of you might have experience with, shamanic sort of teachings or shamanic practices yourselves with the group that we're talking to. And we can make these kind of connections between the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world, which we'll talk about. But like I said, they are constantly all flowing into each other as well. And so we have the land, which can be connected to that middle world, which is also the present, the tangible, the physical, everyday realm of humans, animals, and daily life. We have the sea, which is the lower world, the past, the flow, the emotions, the unconscious, the subconscious, the liminal, and the deep. Again, the energy that connects everything. I loved what Lenny was saying earlier, because water is constantly changing, even at a molecular level, all of the time. And so it's kind of that energy that connects everything. We have the sky, which is the upper world, or the future, divine consciousness, cosmic order, karma, fate, destiny, and the realm of the deities. And so in thinking about these three worlds as kind of a way to connect both physically and spiritually, and kind of a way to orientate yourself. And so we'll talk just briefly about oaths, because they were a very important aspect in Celtic cosmology, and as I was reading, as well as in the many different stories and mythology. And often the land, the sea, and the sky would serve as witnesses. And so oaths were often sworn by invoking these three realms. Swearing an oath by all three realms was seen as binding on a cosmic scale. It was believed to bring divine retribution if broken. We do see this in some of the mythos as well. And then sacred kingship, as well as sovereignty oaths. So Celtic rulers, warriors often swore oaths to uphold justice and maintain the balance of the lands. We have sovereignty goddesses that were invoked in this process, like Eru, Amaha, and Meb. A king who broke his oath risked losing divine favor, which could lead to famine, disaster, or even his own downfall. And so oaths in this culture were socially and legally binding. And there was also something separate that had a supernatural component as well, called a geisha, which is a personal vow, but also a taboo. It could give you kind of gifts, but also had negative aspects as well. Cuchulainn had many of these, and it eventually led to his downfall. It's also worth noting that any kind of natural land spirits, such as specific rivers or even stones, could serve as witnesses. And so that's kind of why I wanted to bring up the oaths, is that these kind of realms served as kind of witnessing as well, things that were going on, and could be used for these oaths, which were very important. And so now we'll go kind of into the realm of the land. The hills, the forests, dirt, plains, and stones. This is our tangible, our stable world, our physical world, our humans and our daily life. The present. This is all of the many different terrestrial ecosystems that exist, all of the plants, the animals, the stones, the fungi. All of that is included here in the realm of the land. We'll see the realm of the land connected to ancestors. We do see them connected to the realm of the sea as well, but they're connected to ancestors through burial mounds, called fairy mounds or she mounds. And here the land serves as kind of a portal place to that other world, or to the energy of the sea. Again, kind of this is one of the ways we see them interflowing into one another, in serving as that kind of portal, the theme of our cosmogenetrix this year. And I like to think about these sacred physical sites, like stone circles, as almost like an anchor of that spiritual, of the other world, to the physical. And then the land is deeply intertwined with sovereignty, as we've heard lots about in different presentations today. And so goddesses of sovereignty are inherently also goddesses of the land.
Nym, we're just going to stop you once more. Do you want to try logging off and logging on one more time, or say something again?
Scrambling again. Yes.
Yeah, it is scrambling again.
Okay. Yeah, I will try.
Do you want to try logging off?
and thinking about like the sacred physical sites like stone circles as being kind of an anchor of the physical world, of the spiritual world into the physical world. And the land deeply intertwined with sovereignty. And the goddesses of sovereignty, I think when I first heard about, sovereignty goddesses, I didn't really know kind of exactly what that meant besides, like freedom and our own kind of individuality and things like that. But in thinking about all the goddesses of sovereignty is also being deeply intertwined with the goddesses of the land and the realm of the land. An example of this, in Celtic cultures, kings would actually be married to the land in a sacred union. This happened at many different sites like the Hill of Tara, the Hill of Ustenach, the Catstone, and things like that. And so with that, kind of this idea that I thought was important. One of the things as I was meditating on this is that ecological balance, so that humans did not rule over the land gave the sovereignty, right? The land, if the land was treated well and in right relationship, and the goddess could choose who was her preferred ruler in that sort of fashion, and the land would then give abundance. But when she was wronged, she gave famine and war and death. And this is another theme I saw as I was listening to the different presentations today that I think just kind of ties that all together, is these kind of both aspects, and that sovereignty is given to us from the land when we're in that right relationship. And so some things I wanted to talk about kind of with that is with each realm is thinking about practices and kind of modern devotion and ways we can engage with the realms. And part of me at first, when I was thinking about this, it felt very kind of basic, but it also had a very grounding feeling. And it had a very kind of reminding us that this exists and we can engage with all three realms in both the spiritual as well as the physical, kind of at all of our day-to-day lives. And so some of the things that I thought of in kind of practices and modern devotion were things like gardening and connecting with the land, both for mundane purposes, foods, medicines, but also for meditation and connection, planting and growing native plants for the local land and for pollinators, learning about sustainable gardening practices, water conservation, biodiversity, soil health, engaging in things for nature stewardship, so participating in reforestation, reclamation, or conservation efforts, following a leave no trace principles and ethics when we're hiking or when we're exploring one of our many sacred places that exist. And then as well as kind of with green witchcraft and connecting with the land, so working with herbal magic, using plants both for healing and spiritual purposes, honoring the seasonal cycles through spells and rituals, crafting charms and sachets from herbs, and then building relationships with land spirits. And so we'll talk a little bit with each realm about offerings, because offerings are a big part of my personal practice, and I believe exist in creating that right relationship with these realms, and I feel is very important. And so in connecting with the land, leaving food, water, or other biodegradable offerings. You can also, I like that nature kind of mandala and making art out of nature things that then is like blown away. I find that to be a very soothing. Morning altars being one mode of this sort of practice. Pouring libations of mead or wine were traditional, milk or spring water at sacred sites. And then a lot of us have altars kind of indoors, but if you can, having a nature altar, whether that be of stone, but as well in kind of engaging with that land realm. And so that's kind of what I have for you in kind of thinking about the realm of the land and ways we can engage in modern devotion. And then we have the realm of the sea. So rivers, lakes, waterfalls, mists, wells. This is the realm of the other world, the realm of the she. The collective memory of our ancestors exists here. The physical water, so we have physical water connected to the actual spiritual aspect as well. And that physical water was often seen as a portal to that other world, whether that be through the water, under the water, across the water. This is the realm of liminal, the realm of mystery, of transformation, of emotions and the subconscious. It's what lies beneath the surface. And so this is connected, like we heard a little bit about today as well, with the natural forces of our life. So the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs. This is the cycle of water in our life, of death, and of rebirth. Our deep emotional work, engaging with both our personal subconscious as well as the collective subconscious and our ancestral memory, like I said. Wells and springs were often seen as places where wisdom of our ancestors and of the dead could be accessed. And so some ways we can engage with the realm of the sea in our modern devotion and in our modern practices. And this can be through ancestor work and otherworld work. So any way that works for you in honoring your ancestors is kind of connecting with that sea energy, using water as a portal. So water rituals, visualization, journey work in general, kind of that channeling to the other world, like we talked about, the sea being kind of the lower world or the underworld, and the sky being above, and using that kind of, and like I said, it's very much in how I experience it, an overlay. But I think that lower and upper help us to kind of move and kind of in that orientating as we journey and experience other realms. And so another way we can engage with the sea is actually through our emotional work. So diving into your inner realms, whether that be through working with healers, therapy, dream work as well, journaling in general, but also one practice that I like is actually kind of free journaling down by a body of water and kind of letting that flow kind of, come forward. I often cry, and that's, I think, very much connected to a way to connect with the realm of the sea. All sorts of water witchcraft, scrying into a bowl of water or into a natural body of water, working with water through spells and rituals, and then moon and tide work, aligning with the rituals and phases of the moon, and the tidal cycles to tap into those natural rhythms. We also then have offerings. So offerings to kind of build your relationship with the realm of the sea, leaving offerings of flowers. That's one that I like to do with the river quite often, stones or herbs. And then another one that I very much like is singing and dancing to a body of water. And so specifically kind of letting that energy flow and intending and, letting the river know that this dance or this song is for them. And I find that to be a very well received offering. And then seashells and salt, and placing those with respect and with gratitude, and then pouring a libation of clean water into the ocean. I will say there was, in what I was reading, a lot of traditions talked about pouring wine. Whether or not you feel like that's sustainable or not, is up to you, but that is something that was traditional to do as well. So then kind of wrapping up with the realm of the sea, we have the realm of the sky. So the clouds and the sun and the moon and the stars, and even the storms. So storms were thought of as being a part of the realm of the sky as well. The sky is connected to the divine forces, wisdom, fate, prophecy, which all of us here are very connected with and very familiar with. This is also where the guidance of deities and spirits comes from. It's said to arrive from the sky and from the gods. So we have the physical sky. So we have weather patterns, astrological events, birds, very connected to the realm of the sky. And then we also have the spiritual sky as well. Birds were often seen as messengers from the realm of the sky, whether that be crows, eagles, hawks, swans, kind of an intermediary between that upper world and that lower world. In the realm of the sky is where our destiny lies, our future. Like I said, this is kind of connected to the future, as well as the cosmic scales or order. Studying the clouds or astrology was used by druids and by wise folk as a way to predict the future. So this is again kind of studying that sky as kind of a way to predict the future and to connect with the future, connect with the energies of the future. Thunder and lightning, the storm energy, was often thought of as signs of divine will. And then Priestess Aislinn talked about Awen, so that divine inspiration, that flowing spirit that's also a triad symbol, so I wanted to include it here. That is sometimes said to come from the sky, come from the divine, that connection to that flow that comes from above, the Awen. And so some ways that we can connect with the sky in practices as well as modern devotion, celebrating celestial events. And so this was very common in Celtic culture, celebrating solstices, equinoxes, being in tune or in tracking the phases of the moon, all forms of divination, astrology, augury, the flight of birds, cloud divination, nephomancy, interpreting the cloud shapes, and then thunder and lightning as omens as well, reading the storms as signs of divine will. And then all wind, air, and storm magic, creating charms with feathers. One of my favorites is I love to collect storm water and use storm water and all sorts of things. And then even connecting with the sunrise and the sunset. I think that's a very kind of powerful practice. I love saying good morning and good night to the sun. I'm kind of in that connecting with that celestial sky energy. Also visualizing kind of taking in that sun energy and breathing it out, as well as the moon energy. And then in connecting with the sky as well, deity work, and all of us, here are very involved in that, and however that looks for you, offering prayers or incense to deities, petitioning deities on behalf of your community or yourself, and then some offerings for the realm of the sky and in building that right relationship with the realm of the sky, whether this be through burning incense or herbs that carry our prayers to the sky, offering feathers, seeds often to the wind, or water to the birds or seed to the birds. And then another one that I think very good in connecting with the sky, because we have that air energy, that wind energy, that is our voice. And so singing and chanting and whistling kind of as an offering to the above, to the heavens. And so with that, kind of tying it all together before we have our blessing here and we kind of close up this portion of our day. The three kind of things that I kind of wanted to take away first of all, I wanted to kind of reconnect with those realms as being both physical and spiritual, seeing them as interconnected, that they are constantly interflowing, just like that Triskelion energy, the physical interflowing with the spiritual, and that they're all interconnected in that way, and that the past is constantly flowing into the present, into the future, and vice versa constantly. And that was something that I really wanted to take away. And then viewing it as a cosmic map. And so rather than just being the elements and working with the elements, that this is kind of, revisiting that this is a way that we can orientate ourselves with the world, and both the physical and the spiritual world, and kind of seeing ourselves in that ecosystem. And then that sacred balance and harmony and alignment. And so that kind of energy of sovereignty and coming from the land. And in a big thing that came forward as I was kind of reflecting on this and meditating was that being in right relationship, and that like what the land gives, she also takes away. And that felt like a very potent feeling that I had, and very relevant in our practice and in our modern devotion today. And something else in kind of thinking about these things is that it doesn't always have to be, complicated. We can have very our daily lives can be very magical and that our practices may evolve with time, but the essence of connecting with these realms, both physically and spiritually, and having that relationship remains the same. So with that, I'll close the talking part of my presentation. Besides that, we'll do a quick little blessing for you, connecting with the land and the sea and the sky here. And so with shifting things, I had something closed. So just one moment here, and I will pull that back up. And all right. So I'd invite you all to close your eyes and settle in, taking in a few deep breaths in, breathing in, and exhaling, breathing out, fully coming into your body, feeling your body on whatever surface you're on, taking in another deep breath in, breathing in. And breathing out. And the next time I want you to squeeze your feet as you inhale, squeezing. Then exhaling, letting the feet go, letting the feet relax. And one more time, breathing in, kind of squeezing the whole body, squeezing. And exhaling, letting the body go, letting the body relax. And now, using your imagination, I want you to see yourself standing at the edge of a great cliff where the forest meets the sea and where the sky touches the land and where the waves stretch out endlessly before you, breathing in and breathing out. Hearing the crashing of the waves below. Feeling the earth beneath your bare feet, cool and steady. Breathing in the salty air, mingled with the scent of the wild forest at your back. Looking up to the sky above, feeling it extend beyond all that you know, taking in a deep breath in, and feeling the power of this place. And now for a blessing. May the land nourish and sustain you. May it ground you in stability and abundance. May each step you take create sacred spaces in the world around you. May the sea call you deep. May you flow with the tides of life and moving with grace and with ease. May you feel the presence of your ancestors, your guides, and the spirits of the other world. May you come to know the great cycles of life, death, and rebirth, and may you walk them unafraid. May the sky guide you. May the winds carry away all that no longer serves you. May the wisdom of the sun and the moon and the stars illuminate your path. May you read the signs and omens written in the heavens, and may the storm fill you with its electric power. By the land, sea, and sky, may you align with the rhythms of the earth and know yourself to be a part of the great harmony of all things. Thank you, and so it is. Taking in a deep breath in and exhaling out.
Oh, Nym, that was absolutely fabulously beautiful. What a blessing you have given us. And despite all of our technical difficulties, you did such an amazing job. So thank you. We all really love that. Bravo, Nym. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties as
It's
well.
fantastic.
I'll share the slides. You can look at them. They are very beautiful. So if you want to look later, that's great. But
It was just lovely to even see you and engage with your face and you speaking. It felt very natural. So there's no worries whatsoever. So I
okay.
think so thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now and